A 10-win Chicago team walks out with a 31-3 win over the Browns, and it never really felt close. This is not a lucky hot streak or some one-week explosion. This looks like a real problem for the rest of the NFL, because every part of this team is starting to click at the same time, and nobody seems ready for what that actually looks like over 4 full quarters. You have Caleb Williams finally stacking a calm, complete game with real command of the offense. You have DeAndre Swift running like a star, finishing runs through contact and punishing defenses that overflow to the wrong side. You have DJ Moore turning tight coverage into touchdowns, Luther Burden and Rome Odanze stepping into real roles when healthy, and a line that is quietly bullying people in the run game. On the other side, you see Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, DeMarco Jackson, Jalen Johnson, and CJ Gardner-Johnson flying around, forcing mistakes and never letting Shedeur Sanders and the Browns' offense breathe. This is the kind of balance that makes a 10-4 record feel like the starting point, not the ceiling. But the shocking part is that none of this is random. There is a clear plan behind how Chicago is tearing up coverages, stressing linebackers, and turning simple formations into nightmare reads for defenses. The way Ben Johnson uses motion, heavy looks, and misdirection is the real engine behind this surge, and it is the first thing we need to break down. So now we are going straight into how this offensive blueprint actually works, why defenses keep biting in the wrong direction, and why that Browns game might only be the preview of what this Bears offense is about to become. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Bears and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 350 likes on this video. The Chicago Bears are tearing up defensive game plans before the ball is even snapped, and it starts with how Ben Johnson dresses up simple looks to create total confusion. He keeps showing defenses the same heavy pictures with 1 back and 2 tight ends, but the ball almost never goes where the linebackers think it will. Safeties lean one way, linebackers slide the wrong direction, and by the time they realize what is really happening, DeAndre Swift or DJ Moore is already cutting into open grass with the ball in their hands. On the cutback touchdown from DeAndre Swift, the entire front is sure the run is going to the right side. The line steps that way. Both tight ends release in that direction, and the second level flows hard to follow. Then the ball slices back left into a clean lane that looks like it came straight out of a clinic clip. On the red zone score to DJ Moore, motion from Luther Burden forces the defense to show man coverage. The line slides right again to sell the run, routes cross the middle, and the inside of the field opens up just enough for Caleb Williams to float a perfect throw. Even on early downs, crossers and deep stop routes to Luther Burden and Colston Loveland are stacked to force linebackers to choose wrong, either stepping up on shallow routes or giving up easy windows behind them. What nobody is really talking about yet is how all of this is building a clean runway for Caleb Williams to grow into full command of this system. Every motion, every fake, every tilted formation is giving him clearer reads and easier answers at the line. When a young quarterback starts seeing linebackers move exactly where the play design wants them to go, confidence explodes, ball placement tightens up, and the whole offense speeds up. That is where the story turns next, because the way Caleb Williams is starting to read and punish defenses inside this blueprint might be the real reason the league has no answer for Chicago right now. The Chicago Bears just watched Caleb Williams play the kind of game that turns a young quarterback from a social media highlight guy into a real problem for defensive coordinators. In cold, ugly weather, with rushers in his face and receivers slipping on the turf, he stayed calm in the pocket, trusted his reads, and kept the ball out of danger almost the entire afternoon. The box score says he threw for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that does not tell you about the drops, the smart throwaways, and the plays where he calmly moved to his spot, reset his feet, and still delivered a strike. This is what a second-year quarterback looks like when the game starts to slow down and the pressure moments feel normal instead of chaotic. What really stands out is how Caleb Williams handled stress from both sides of the ball. There were snaps where Myles Garrett and the Browns front got clean pressure, yet he did not panic or drift straight into sacks. Instead, he slid inside the pocket, kept his eyes downfield, and chose safe throws instead of blind shots into coverage. On the crazy touchdown to DJ Moore in the back of the end zone, he pushed the risk line but still placed the ball where only his receiver had a real chance to make a play. Compare that with Shedeur Sanders on the other sideline, who held the ball too long and stared down routes. You can see the difference between a quarterback who is learning how to manipulate defenders and one who is still figuring out what he can and cannot get away with in this league. The part that should worry future opponents is how much room Caleb Williams still has to grow with this group. He already missed a couple of easy throws that can be cleaned up, had drives where timing with Colston Loveland or Kyle Monangai was just a little off, and still looked fully in control of the game. Once the timing with DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Rome Odunze when he is healthy, and the rest of this skill group hits its ceiling, those near 300-yard days start to become normal. That is where this story goes next, because the cast around Caleb Williams is quietly turning into one of the most dangerous playmaker groups in the NFC, and they are a huge reason the league has no clear answer for Chicago right now. The Chicago Bears are not leaning on one hero right now. They are winning because an entire group of playmakers keeps hitting defenses from every angle. DeAndre Swift punishes soft boxes with patient runs, DJ Moore demands constant safety help, Luther Burden turns short throws into long gains, Colston Loveland eats in the seams, Kyle Monangai brings power, and when Rome Odunze is healthy, he stretches the field vertically. Every time a defense sells out to slow one of them, another steps into the spotlight, and that is exactly why the Browns never felt like they were close to getting control of this game. You can feel it in the way Ben Johnson rides the hot hand without forcing anything. When DeAndre Swift starts finding daylight, the call sheet tilts toward him, and he quietly stacks chunk runs until the defense is worn down. When coverage leans to DJ Moore, Luther Burden gets chances to work underneath, catch the ball in stride, and shake tackles in space. Colston Loveland gives Caleb Williams that reliable target on key downs, strong at the catch point and trusted to finish through contact. Kyle Monangai might not fill the box score every week, but his physical style still makes linebackers think twice about flying downhill, which matters over 4 quarters in cold weather football. The scary part is that this mix is only getting more dangerous as these younger players grow with their second-year quarterback. Once Rome Odunze is back in rhythm, and defenses have to worry about his deep speed on top of DJ Moore and Luther Burden, there will be no easy answer for how to match personnel without leaving someone one-on-one. Long drives from this group keep the Bears ahead on the scoreboard and keep the defense fresh, which is exactly where the story turns next, because that Chicago defense is using this cushion to attack with full confidence and make life very hard for opposing quarterbacks. The Chicago Bears defense walked into this game knowing the Browns' offensive line was banged up, but the way they attacked still felt ruthless in a controlled way. From the first quarter, Shedeur Sanders looked like he was always one read late, because rushers were in his face, and throwing lanes kept closing right as he pulled his arm back. Every time Cleveland tried to settle into a normal rhythm, somebody in navy and orange was slipping through a crease, tipping a ball, or arriving just as the throw left his hand. It was not about luck or wild chaos. It felt like a unit that already knew where the ball wanted to go and got there first. You could see the design in the front 7 on that stunt with Montez Sweat, Austin Booker, and Gervon Dexter. Sweat slow plays the edge, Booker crashes into the tackle, Dexter eats the center inside, and then Sweat loops into a free lane while the guard never switches. That same idea shows up in coverage. Jalen Johnson stays patient in phase with Jerry Jeudy, then simply takes the ball away at the catch point. CJ Gardner-Johnson tracks a deep throw like a receiver, running under it and finishing over his shoulder. DeMarco Jackson drops into the passing lane, tips the ball to himself, and turns it into a change of field position. Even when the stat sheet says 3 interceptions and 5 sacks, the real story is how often the Browns had no clean answer on early downs, with Quinshon Judkins shut down and long yardage piling up. What nobody wants to deal with if they see Chicago in December is this combination of fresh legs and full confidence. The offense is holding the ball, the defense is dictating terms, and now Dennis Allen can call pressure looks without worrying his group will wear down by the 4th quarter. That is where the hidden part of this story lives, because the Bears are also finding extra value in the 3rd phase of the game. The special teams unit is starting to swing field position and create more short fields for Caleb Williams, and that piece might be even more important once the opponent is not the Browns but a division rival with everything on the line. The Chicago Bears quietly won a whole second battle against the Browns just through special teams, and that matters more than most people realize. Every time Devin Duvernay brought a kickback past the 40, he was stealing a full first down of field position before Caleb Williams even stepped on the field. Instead of starting deep and grinding out long drives, the offense kept getting short fields, and that takes pressure off the quarterback, the play caller, and the line on a cold day when every yard is a fight. What nobody is really talking about is how often the coverage units flipped the script as well. The kick coverage group flew down the field, wrapped up right away, and never let Shedeur Sanders and the Browns offense start with easy positions of their own. On punts, Devin Duvernay even added a strong return while Josh Blackwell made a smart play by pulling his hand back after stepping into the end zone so he would not ruin a perfect down near the goal line. Torrey Taylor had one short backed-up punt but also dropped a beauty inside the 5, and those swings add up over 4 quarters in a way that does not always show up in the basic box score. The only real tension came from Cairo Santos pushing a 35-yard attempt off the upright, a sharp reminder that even trusted veterans can be tested by cold, wind, and slick footing. That miss did not cost Chicago against Cleveland, but in a tight division race, every point carries weight, and the Bears know they need their kicking game sharp when the stakes rise. That is where the story turns next. Because while special teams are helping drive this run, the health of key playmakers and the depth behind them will decide how long this version of the Chicago Bears can keep forcing the league to look for answers it still does not have. The Chicago Bears are learning fast that winning in December is not just about schemes and highlights. It is about who is still standing. In the middle of this 10-win push, they have seen Rome Odunze tweak a foot in warm-ups, Luther Burden leave with an ankle scare, Kyler Gordon land on injured reserve, and Tevin Jenkins once again fight through issues in the trenches. That could have broken the flow for a young team, especially one leaning on a second-year quarterback in Caleb Williams, but instead it has turned into a test of how strong the whole roster really is. What might surprise people outside Chicago is how many new faces are answering that test. DeMarco Jackson has stepped into a heavy snap load at linebacker and looks like a real every-week player. Joe Tryon has flashed as a situational rusher, helping Montez Sweat and Jervon Dexter keep pressure steady up front. In the secondary, Nahshon Wright, a rookie corner, is starting to read routes well enough to almost jump a pick six, while CJ Gardner-Johnson moves all over the field as a hybrid piece. On offense, Colston Loveland, a rookie tight end, and Luther Burden, a rookie receiver, have already become trusted options for Caleb Williams, and Kyle Monangai, another rookie back, brings fresh power when DeAndre Swift needs a breather. Depth is no longer a theory on this roster, it is showing up on the field. Across the rest of the conference, the story is very different. Contenders are losing stars like Micah Parsons, Christian Watson, Devontae Adams, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Brandon Ayuk, and even Patrick Mahomes in the wider league picture, and that changes everything about how the playoff race feels. Chicago has taken hits too, but their key core is still in the fight. Their young players are growing into bigger roles, and the path in front of them suddenly looks a lot more open than it did a month ago. That is exactly where this builds next, because the mix of health, depth, and momentum has pushed the Bears into a real power shift in the NFC North, and the matchup with Green Bay now carries stakes that could reshape the entire playoff race. The Chicago Bears just forced the rest of the NFC North to look up at them, and that was not supposed to happen this fast. While Green Bay and Detroit slipped in the afternoon window, Chicago handled business early and stepped straight into control of the division. Instead of chasing a wild card, this team is now staring at a path where home playoff games in brutal winter conditions are on the table, with Caleb Williams leading an offense that fits the weather and a defense that loves it when games get ugly. The surprise is not that they are winning, it is how suddenly they have become the team that others need help to catch. The twist is how simple the path really looks now. Beat Green Bay at Soldier Field, and Chicago does more than grab a rivalry win. They build real space over Jordan Love and the Packers, keep Detroit behind them, and push the magic number for the division down to something that feels very real. A double-digit win team that can run the ball with DeAndre Swift, lean on physical drives with Kyle Monangai, and let DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, and Rome Odunze punish single coverage is not the kind of group anyone wants to see in January. Add a defense that keeps taking the ball away and special teams that tilt field position, and you suddenly have a formula that travels to any stadium in the conference. The part that should make the rest of the NFC nervous is that there still is no clear blueprint for shutting all of this down at once. Sell out to stop the run, and Caleb Williams has the arm and poise to beat you over the top. Sit back in coverage, and the backs in line can grind out long, draining drives. Try to win a shootout, and the Bears' defense has already shown it can flip games with sacks and takeaways when quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders have to force the ball. That is why this matchup with Green Bay is more than just another rivalry night. It is the next test of whether anybody in this conference actually has an answer for what the Chicago Bears are turning into right now.